My sister-in-law sneered, "There's no way you can keep this house." I didn't respond. Later, she tried to contact the landlord and learned I'd bought the entire building weeks ago. After Veronica moved away, things were quiet for a while. The building ran smoothly. I got to know the tenants, handled repairs, even helped a single mom on the third floor with groceries now and then. I started to feel like I had built something real, something that mattered. Then I got a letter in the mail, a legal one, from a law firm in Charlotte, North Carolina. Veronica was suing me. Apparently, she was claiming that my grandmother's will was unfairly altered and that I had manipulated my grandmother when she was sick. Said I pressured her into leaving me the apartment and that the whole inheritance should be reviewed. I sat there in my tiny living room, letter in hand, shaking. I wasn't angry yet. I was stunned. Veronica and I weren't close, but I never imagined she'd stoop to this level. The truth is, my grandmother left me the apartment because I was the one who stayed. I was the one who moved in when she got sick. I cooked her meals, gave her her meds, helped her in and out of bed when her legs got too weak. Veronica visited 3 times. Once, she forgot my grandmother's birthday and sent a card a week late. I remember because my grandmother cried about it. I called a lawyer that night. A good one. Expensive, but good. He read the letter and gave me a calm, firm response. She doesn't have a case. But she can drag this out. Be ready. And she did. For the next 5 months, I had to dig up every old record, every photo, every medical bill. I gave my lawyer letters my grandmother had written to me, telling me she was proud of me and that she wanted me to have the apartment when she passed. Veronica's lawyer sent requests weekly. It was like death by paperwork. But the worst part? Veronica started talking to tenants in the building. She called them. Told them I was under investigation. Told them I was going to lose the building. A few of them believed her. I got side eyes in the hallway, missed rent checks, even one angry voicemail from the guy in 2B demanding to know if he was going to be evicted. That was the first time I cried about it. I met with all the tenants in the basement one Saturday morning and laid everything out. Showed them the proof that I owned the building, that nothing was changing, that Veronica was bitter and trying to scare people. Most understood. A few still didn't trust me. But I held my head up anyway. Then came the twist I didn't expect. My lawyer called one morning and told me we had a problem. He said a new witness had come forward. Someone who claimed they were present when my grandmother supposedly said she felt pressured by me. It was Veronica's ex-boyfriend. A guy named Travis. A scummy, lazy loser I hadn't seen in years. The kind of guy who always smelled like weed and desperation. He'd never even met my grandmother outside of one holiday dinner. But he was willing to testify. For money, no doubt. That's when the gloves came off. I found out Travis had a long history of petty crime. I dug into court records with the help of a friend who worked at the county office. He'd been charged with fraud, had a restraining order filed against him by Veronica herself 2 years ago, and had once tried to steal a car from a used car lot and crashed it into a ditch. I brought it all to my lawyer, who added it to the case file. But before we could even use it, another twist landed. A letter. Handwritten. From my grandmother's old neighbor, Miss Pauline, a retired school teacher in her 80s. She wrote that she remembered my grandmother talking about me every day, saying how grateful she was I was there. She remembered Veronica never visiting. She even remembered my grandmother signing the will, because she was there that day, dropping off banana bread. It was like a gift from the heavens. My lawyer grinned when he read it. We're going to destroy them in court. But we didn't go to court. A week before the trial, Veronica's lawyer reached out. Wanted to settle. Said she was willing to drop the lawsuit if I gave her a reasonable financial offer. I told them to go to hell. Let them try. Let them drag this all the way. I was tired. I was angry. But I was also right. And then something happened I didn't expect again. The woman in 2B, who had once screamed at me on the phone, knocked on my door. She handed me a check. back rent. Said she was sorry. Said she believed me now. Little by little, the other tenants followed. They started trusting me again. A few even said they hoped Veronica lost big. The building felt like home again. But I wasn't finished. Not by a long shot. I found out Veronica had a business license for a skincare company in Charlotte. It was doing okay, mostly Instagram sales and local fairs. But I also found out she had never registered for taxes under her brand name in Georgia, where she'd originally set up her shop 2 years ago before moving it to North Carolina. I made one phone call to the Georgia Department of Revenue. It wasn't revenge. It was just justice. She wanted to play dirty, so I gave her a taste. But things are still moving. The trial date is approaching. Veronica hasn't backed down. And I'm not done yet. A few days after I reported Veronica's old business to the Georgia Department of Revenue, I got a call from a private number. I almost didn't answer, but something told me to pick up. It was an investigator. From the IRS. Apparently, Veronica's financial trail was messier than I thought. She hadn't just skipped state taxes, she'd been underreporting income for over 3 years. Her little skincare empire was full of fake receipts, misfiled earnings, and in one case, a bounced payment to a vendor who had filed a complaint. I asked the investigator why they were calling me. He paused, then said, "We just want to know if you've had any business dealings with Ms. Veronica and if she ever attempted to offer you money or documents in exchange for silence." So not only was she suing me, but now she was under federal investigation. I didn't say much, just gave a clear no, I've had no such dealings, and left it at that. But the call stayed with me. That same week, someone tried to break into the basement of the building. They didn't get far, just busted the door lock and knocked over some old paint cans. Nothing was stolen, but it felt deliberate. It didn't take long to confirm my suspicion. One of the security cameras I'd installed last year, cheap ones, but good enough, caught a clear shot of the person trying the door. It was Travis, wearing a hoodie pulled low, but the beard gave him away. I knew that scruffy mess anywhere. I gave the footage to the police. They called him in for questioning. No charges stuck, nothing was taken, but now there was a formal incident logged under his name. When my lawyer got wind of it, he smiled in that way only lawyers can. "Keep stacking the bricks," he said. "It's all foundation for your case." Then came the part one didn't see coming at all. One of Veronica's old friends messaged me on Facebook. We weren't connected, but the message came through my other inbox. I almost missed it. She wrote, "Hey, I know we've never talked, but I think you should know something. Veronica used to brag about changing her mom's medication to make her sleep longer so she wouldn't have to take care of her. She told me over wine one night, laughing. Said it's easier when she's out cold. I thought she was joking, but now I don't think so. Thought you should know, since you're dealing with her in court." That message made my skin crawl. Veronica had always been cold, but I never imagined she'd go that far. I forwarded the message to my lawyer. He said it was disturbing but not immediately useful in our case unless the person was willing to testify. I asked her. She agreed. Said she was sick of Veronica manipulating everyone and everything. But what really blew the roof off? 2 weeks later, I got a visit from a man in a gray Ford Fusion. He knocked on my door, asked for me by name, then handed me a manila envelope and drove off. Inside were printed screenshots. Dozens of them. Private messages between Veronica and her lawyer. Between Veronica and Travis. Even a few messages where she was clearly instructing someone, possibly her cousin, to dig into his financials, mine, find dirt, and if we can't win, we'll ruin him in the press. The messages had been leaked by Veronica's paralegal. Apparently, she'd overheard too much, had a conscience, and couldn't stay quiet anymore. She didn't want to lose her license, so she anonymously sent everything to me. It was gold. Coaching witnesses. Coordinating a smear campaign. Talking about creating fake texts to show me being abusive. Even joking about paying someone to plant something illegal in my apartment, Though it was probably just talk, it was enough to make the hair on my neck stand up. We filed for a court order to allow that evidence to be included. It took a couple of hearings, but the judge agreed to let it in. Veronica's legal team went quiet after that. Real quiet. My lawyer said they're trying to figure out how deep they're in. They might bail. But Veronica wasn't done. She showed up. At my building. In person. It was early evening, sun low in the sky. I was locking up after checking on the boiler when I turned around, and there she was, standing in the courtyard like she owned the place. "You think you've won?" she hissed. I didn't say anything. I just stared. She stepped closer. "You're not better than me. You're just lucky. That's all. I deserved that inheritance. Grandma hated how you kept her trapped here. That did it." I stepped forward, firm. "Get off my property. This is private property, and if you come back, I'll call the cops." She glared, like she wanted to hit me. Then she turned and walked away. I watched until she was gone. I called my lawyer and told him what happened. He sent a cease and desist the next morning. And now here we are. The court date's close. The evidence is stacked on my side like a fortress. IRS is sniffing around her accounts. Her lies are crumbling. She tried to scare me out of my own home. Tried to break me. But I'm still here. And I've got receipts. The court date came faster than I expected. I walked into that courtroom in downtown Atlanta wearing a suit I hadn't touched since my grandmother's funeral. It still smelled faintly of her perfume, lavender and old wood. The place was packed. Veronica sat across the aisle with her lawyer and Travis, both looking smug. But under the surface, I could see it, she was nervous. Her leg kept bouncing. She wouldn't look at me. My lawyer went first. Calm. Clear. He laid out everything, how I inherited the apartment legally, how I had paid for the building with my own savings, how Veronica had lied, tried to manipulate tenants and tried to ruin me. Then came the witnesses. Miss Pauline, bless her heart, walked in slow but proud. She told the court how she remembered the day my grandmother signed the will, how she'd heard Veronica yelling on the phone once about not wanting to wipe old people's butts. The jury nodded along. Then came the woman from Facebook, the former friend. She testified, voice shaking, about the wine night and the sleeping pills. Everyone in the room was silent. Then my lawyer showed the leaked messages. The courtroom gasped when the texts showed up on screen. Words like ruin him, fake receipts, and dig up dirt lit up the projector. The judge raised an eyebrow. Even the bailiff looked stunned. Veronica's lawyer tried to argue they were fake. But we had the digital trail. The IP logs. The source. The paralegal, who had already reported herself to the bar for not coming forward sooner, confirmed everything. She was granted immunity for full cooperation. Travis, cocky at first, fell apart under cross-examination. When asked to explain why he was caught on camera trying to break into my basement, he mumbled something about looking for his cat. The jury laughed. Then came my turn. I sat there and told the court everything. How I stayed with my grandmother, how I watched her fade. How I gave up job offers, weekends, relationships to care for her. How Veronica only showed up when she wanted money or attention. How the last words my grandmother said to me were, "I'm proud of you, baby. This place will always be yours." I didn't cry, but my voice cracked. I saw a few people in the jury dab their eyes. When it was over, the judge took a break before reading the verdict. I sat outside the courtroom, staring at the floor, trying to breathe. And then they called us back in. The judge ruled in my favor. Declared the will valid, the ownership undisputed. But that wasn't the dramatic part. He went further. Because of the overwhelming evidence of malicious intent, perjury, and potential fraud, he recommended that Veronica be investigated for witness tampering and obstruction of justice. She turned white as a ghost. It got worse. 3 days later, she was arrested for tax fraud. Not just state, federal. The IRS had been watching closely. They froze her accounts, seized her inventory. Her skincare website went offline the same day. Travis skipped town. Last I heard, he tried to pawn her car and got caught. As for me, I won. But I wasn't innocent in all of it. I didn't report Veronica's business out of duty. I did it out of spite. I didn't warn her when I bought the building. I waited until it hurt. And deep down, I enjoyed watching her squirm. Maybe I didn't change into someone like her, but I got close. The building is quiet again. Peaceful. But I still jump when I get unexpected mail. Still check the cameras twice some nights. That kind of fight doesn't leave you clean. But I have no regrets. She sneered, "You'll never keep this house." She was right about one thing. I didn't just keep it. I owned every brick of her downfall too.